also remind them that once we start the mindfulness practices, we can turn off microphones and cameras just to enable us to fully relax and gain the full benefits of the practice. And thank you so much for whoever started recording. Forgotten that time. And then I'd read through the course overview. So there are 4 sessions, fun for mindfulness drop-ins. So we've got the body scan meditation, which is 30 minutes. Mindful movements, 30 minutes again, completing a series of stress relieving stretches in a mindful way. Breathing and appreciation is the 60-minute one, where you apply breathing technique, ending with a mindful appreciation and reflection. But today we will be focusing on day-to-day ways to be mindful, and then discussing a variety of ways to practice mindfulness during our day-to-day activities. So we'd run through the objectives. So today would be defining mindfulness and listing the benefits of mindfulness, identifying different ways to be mindful during day-to-day activities, practicing a mindfulness technique in a group setting, and reflecting on our feelings before and after the mindfulness session as well. And just like the others, we have a getting to know you section as well, where we'd ask each participant to introduce themselves to the group by stating their name and what they hope to gain from the session as well. So on this section, we'd ask the participants to define what mindfulness means to them, trying to draw out being present in the moment, tuning into our senses such as touch, smell, hearing and taste, and also taking the time to notice. We'd also let them know that Headspace has defined mindfulness as the quality of being present and fully engaged with whatever we're doing at the moment, being free from distraction or judgment and aware of our thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. So mindfulness is often thought about in terms of practicing meditation, focusing on breathing, muscle relaxation, and learning to freely observe our thoughts and feelings and emotions without judgment. So often these activities require you to set additional time aside to do this, and taking time out of your day. However, mindfulness comes in many different forms and techniques, which doesn't require you to set out that additional time. You can practice mindfulness in every day-to-day activities, and in this session we'll be focusing on how we can practice mindfulness in our everyday routine activities. So this is a great way to practice mindfulness if you know a participant who is quite short of time, maybe they have quite a busy lifestyle, have a family, with not much time to kind of set aside for themselves. So this is a really good kind of session to book them on. So when we're practicing this way of mindfulness, it's not an additional activity, it's not an add-on, it's something that you can do whilst you're already doing some of your routine activities. And being mindful in this way can help to boost your mood throughout the day as well, not necessarily when we're meditating and setting aside that additional time. So it's something that's continued throughout the day. So before we start the activities, we ask the participants to take some time to reflect about how they're feeling now. They can be tired, relaxed, anxious and calm and so on. And we ask if they feel comfortable then to share with the group. And we ask them to note how they're feeling before we start the mindfulness practice, as mindfulness is about being in the present moment, including tuning into how we feel, and it can help us to notice what effects the session has had on us as well. So this is when the activities start. So we look at day-to-day ways to be mindful and how we can be mindful throughout the week. We would read a couple of examples from this, such as when outside, notice how the weather feels on your face, noticing the smell of soap and temperature of the water when washing your hands. So we would ask the group if these are things that they already do, or which ones they think that they could easily implement into their routine, or ones that really stick with them as well. So we try out a couple of these mindfulness activities during the session today. We'd ask them to pick one of the activities on the guide and then take 5 minutes to practice them now whilst they're on the call. We'd ask them to turn off their cameras and then turn them back on after 5 minutes once they have completed the activity. We'd get them to share what activity they found with the group if they feel comfortable in doing so, and how they found it. And then we'd also let them know that they would be receiving a copy of the day-to-day ways to be mindful calendar via email. You might have noticed or feel that this kind of calendar is familiar to you. A lot of the Action for Happiness calendars look like this as well, and that's another tool that we could refer them across to as well. But yes, we'd kind of ask them to complete, a couple of these activities throughout their week and in their own time as well, so that they become kind of self-reliant on themselves in practicing mindfulness every day, but they can also feel free to come to these drop-in sessions as much as they want to kind of build upon those skills within their health and well-being. So we'd also ask them, after they had completed the activity, to reflect on how they were feeling after the practice. And then also to reiterate that there's no wrong or right way to feel, and that every person is different. It's also important to let them know that it's very common for people to feel sometimes sleepy the first few times after they complete a mindfulness technique. Sometimes they might feel that that technique doesn't work for them, but then it's also kind of important to remind them or put it into perspective that if I asked you to go run a marathon, you wouldn't go run a marathon in that one day. You'd practice running a marathon, slowly building it up over time. And that's a little bit like mindfulness as well. It's a skill. It's something that we don't all grasp straight away. So practicing over time and finding that technique that fits within our lifestyle, and one that really kind of aligns with what we're looking for and helps us, is what we're really looking for. But yeah, basically that is the session today. So it is kind of brief. It's a drop-in 30 minutes. And then we'd also ask them to take the survey as well and how they found it, which I know Samaya has let us know that we're kind of getting a little bit more progressive with that operationally, which is really good news. But yeah, I know it's quite brief, but of course it take a little bit more time with the participants, and I'd also stay on the call around about 10 to 15 minutes afterwards if there's something they'd like to discuss in private, or they could send me an email as well, or possibly book a one-to-one. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and also maybe picked up on some things that you could implement within your life. But does anybody have any questions at all regarding the session?
Hey, thank you.
That's okay, no worries. Thank you so much for all attending, and I hope you have a lovely